All right, so today we have MacGregor VanBeurden. Did I say your name right?
It's VanBeurden.
Van Burden. Okay. And he is a leader in our LGBTQ plus community in the 10th district. And why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself, tell people what they might want to know about you. Just go for it.
Okay. Like you said, my name is MacGregor VanBeurden. I'm the founding president of the LGBT Democrats of Catawba County. I also volunteer with the Carolinas LGBT Chamber of Commerce. And then professionally, I'm a community outreach coordinator with North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
All right, cool. Yeah, and so one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was first of all, I've been to several of your events, and you've just really, been a leader kind of in this space and, for the community. And that's, the type of person I really want to highlight, on my channel is, somebody who really gives back to the community, and
Mhm.
isn't afraid to kind of get out there and, do the work. So, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So we just have, some questions and, feel free to, interject and people hopefully get to know you and kind of get to know more about, what's going on with your group in the community. So, tell me a little bit about the Catawba group. How did you start that? How long has it been going on? How many people you got? Yeah.
Mhm. Like I said, I founded the LGBT Democrats of Catawba County. We started back in, I want to say November of last year. So we've been around for a few months now, going on a year. So we are chartered under the North Carolina Democratic Party. So we don't actually receive funding from the North Carolina Democratic Party, but we do have official representation in the North Carolina Democratic Party. And we also work really closely with the Catawba County Democratic Party. So our mission is to secure full equality for LGBTQ plus folks in this area, as well as elect pro-equality Democrats into positions of power, and then to increase LGBTQ plus participation in policy. And so we really focus on community building, particularly with networking events. We've partnered with and will continue partnering with the LGBT Chamber of Commerce to bring events to this area. We also focus on civic visibility. So we had our Newton Rainbow Festival not too long ago, which was Newton's first ever Pride event. It was well attended. We had speakers, vendors, performers, and then also, having a presence locally in our city council meetings. That's a big thing we do. And then another focus area is accountability. Calling out remarks that are made inappropriately by our elected officials. We did have some anti-transgender remarks that were made by one city council member here in Newton, and we had a show of support. We had probably over 100 supporters come out. We had over 30 speakers, and for a city the size of Newton, being a smaller, more right-leaning city, that's really impressive. So, I mean, we had that city council meeting at capacity about an hour, hour and a half before it even started. So it was definitely the talk of the town.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was there, and I spoke there, but
Right.
it was really impressive to see how many people came out to support you all. And one of the things that was also kind of equally impressive, but not in a good way, was kind of how visible some of the, I guess, hatred was.
Yeah.
And one thing that really bugs me is, when they try to say, "Oh, we don't hate anybody, but hey,
Right.
stay in your house," like
Right.
it's just kind of, the hypocrisy is just alarming.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but kind of dive into that city council thing and those remarks a little bit more, because I know, it was kind of a big deal. And in this area being such a conservative area. I'm
Mm.
sure it's probably not the only time you've gotten those kinds of remarks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so the remarks revolved around a Pride event that we were hosting. So back in February, March of this year, we started planning a Pride event, and originally the name of that Pride event was the Newton Pride Takeover. The reason we chose the word takeover was because, first of all, we didn't want people assuming that there was going to be a pride parade in the city of Newton. So we wanted to distinguish it from pride. And because when people think pride, they think parade. So we wanted some type of distinguishing wording. So we leaned into the idea of using takeover because the whole event revolved around supporting businesses that supported the LGBTQ plus community and encouraging people to shop at those businesses, to spend their money there. We were doing events with some of those businesses. So it wasn't a takeover. We weren't coming for, your children and coming for the city and everything. We were just having a huge show of support to those businesses that support us. So that's why we leaned into this idea of a takeover. But it was met with a lot of disagreement. People did not like what we were doing, and they assumed it was something that it wasn't. And so, with that being said, when we started advertising for the Newton Pride takeover, we received a lot of backlash from the community, including one elected official in Newton who made anti transgender remarks, associating our transgender community with pedophilia and sex crimes and other things that are just not only not true, but really dangerous because it encourages this hateful and threatening rhetoric and narrative against vulnerable communities. So that's sort of where the controversy came about, and it's not the first time that we've seen public officials, local, statewide, federally, say untrue and dangerous things against vulnerable communities. But I was really happy with not only how we responded, but honestly, how the city of Newton responded. I thought the city council did a really wonderful job at listening to us and hearing our concerns, taking it into consideration. When we had our city council meeting and we had that show of support, there was an enormous police presence there. There were a lot of threats that were made prior, and we communicated those threats to the city of Newton. They had police there. They did a wonderful job at responding and accommodating such a large crowd. So I was really happy with that. And I was more happy and more excited and more hopeful with how many people in Newton came out and spoke up and stood for the rights of not only our transgender community but our LGBTQ plus community. So it was really great to see Newton come out and everything, and it gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, me, just, kind of being on the periphery of this and just kind of, seeing it go down. It seems like so much of the vitriol is directed specifically at the trans community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, I guess I think that probably happens because people just don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess for somebody who's not in that situation, it can be kind of difficult to understand why, somebody is feeling the way that they're feeling, or, somebody's been going through like the dysphoria that they go through, pretty much their entire lives until they kind of come to that realization that, that they are trans. And I work with trans people on pretty much a daily basis, and so I've kind of seen it in my line of work, just kind of seeing like the relief that comes over their face whenever they're just like, you go through the whole like, yes, we can give you this, these hormones, and
Right.
it's almost like they weren't even expecting like somebody to like say, yes, we can do that for you. And it's just like some of them literally just burst into tears.
Right.
And so that's really been kind of eye-opening for me to see as somebody who's not, I'm an ally, I'm not a member of the LGBTQ plus community, but it's something that you don't have to understand it to support it,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, what I tell people who, kind of are just, trying to figure out, where they stand on it. It's like anything else. Like you don't have to understand people's motivations to support them.
Right.
Just be nice. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It is really, even within the LGBTQ plus community, it's really disheartening when there are parts of our community, our lesbian, gay, bisexual community, does not support the transgender community, and there's many other issues in our community other than just not supporting the transgender community. There's a lot of racism in our community, believe it or not, and it's so disheartening when you have this community made up of people that all share similar struggles, and have had similar battles, and we don't even support our own members of our community. And that's why I really wanted to be so vocal about what was said in Newton, because as a gay male, it's important for me to show up for those in my community that um, are being targeted. And I think when you look at the progress of the LGBTQ plus community, we've made a lot of progress for lesbian, gay, bisexual rights. I mean, that goes back decades, and that's been a long fight, and we've made huge progress. And even in the city council meeting, a lot of people that were in opposition of us would get up there and say, oh, I've got gay friends. Oh, I love gay people. But transgender people, that's a whole different a ball game. And they'll support one side of the community, but not the other side. So there's been a lot of progress made for the lesbian, gay, bisexual community, and not that same progress for the transgender community. And so it's really important for our community, the LGBTQ plus community, to all stand together, unified, and help move that progress for the transgender community.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I was with the Iredell Democrats a couple of weeks ago in their Independence Day parade. And Iredell, or it was in Troutman. Troutman is another
Uh,
very conservative community, and I was really surprised. We were all really surprised that we didn't get more opposition than we did. I mean,
right,
we got a few like thumbs down, maybe like one like person like flipped us off, but really the only
right,
nasty comment we got was a guy who walked up to the float and said, "Hey, I think you're in the wrong place. The trans parade is not here
mm,
today." And I was
right,
like, that's just interesting that that's, what he picked out to say.
yeah,
People just have this weird misconception that trans people are pedophiles and trying to
yeah,
like kidnap your children in the bathroom. And literally every single trans person I've met or dealt with
yeah,
is the type of person that honestly would just rather keep to themselves.
yeah,
Like they don't go out and do a whole lot of them. And if they go in the bathroom, like they just want to go to the bathroom, do their business and get out. Like they're not like
exactly,
focused on looking at what everybody has. So
yeah,
it's just it's weird and it's going to take a while to kind of make that progress like you've made with the other communities as well.
yeah.
But I mean, I do think that, slowly but surely we are making headway. And I think, part of that is because of people like you. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also important to recognize yourself and all the other allies out there, because I always tell people our community would not be where it is without our allies. Y'all are so important because you give us a voice where we are not there to have a voice for ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, we're glad to do it. So, yeah. So, kind of moving on to kind of a related topic, kind of in the I guess current political environment, there's been a lot of, legislation and bills being thrown around that could be harmful to the LGBTQ plus community.
Mhm.
How are you all, handling kind of what's being thrown at you there?
Um, it's hard. Every day you wake up, you look at the news, you look at social media, and you're like, oh my God, what is happening in this country? So I think actually the best thing you can really do for yourself right now, stay educated, but don't let it consume you. Don't let all this terrible nonsense in this country drag you down, because if you do, you're going to tire yourself out, and you're not going to fight as hard, you know? So I think that's really important, and it's a really good piece of advice. But I've always been a huge advocate for local advocacy and local policy change. I think that local organizing is where all change begins. You cannot have change on the federal or state level without it beginning on the local levels. So that's why our group, the LGBT Democrats of Catawba County, focuses on activism in Catawba County. We don't focus on necessarily the activism for North Carolina because it really does start locally. You got to show up where it matters. Attend your city council meetings, go to your school board meetings, go to your party meetings, whether that's the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Whatever party you associate with, go, be involved, express your concerns, use your voice, because it does start locally. And I think that speaking specifically about LGBTQ plus activism and issues, it's really important for us to focus on mental health and mutual care, because we're seeing, a lot of funding cuts right now. A lot of corporations are pulling out of pride events. They're not as willing to show their support for the LGBTQ plus community. Safe spaces are constantly under attack. It's just really not a safe environment for our LGBTQ plus community, especially our youth. And so we really need to center some attention on our mental health and mutual care services for our LGBTQ plus community, because that's really under attack right now. Um, and I think it's also really important to remember um, to use joy as a form of resistance. Have festivals, especially in these smaller, more conservative areas. Have these festivals, build connections, celebrate art. Because part of the problem, I think, is that people don't have the exposure to the LGBTQ plus community, and because they don't have the exposure in these smaller, more conservative areas, they just assume that the LGBTQ plus community is something that it's not. They assume that a pride event is going to be something that it is not, because there's not that exposure. So it's really important to bring that exposure, but to bring it joyfully. Have your festivals, create your connections, you know.
Mhm.
So that's sort of, I guess, how you can navigate the political climate we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, lean on your allies too, because we're, here to support
Hmm.
however we can. And I know that there are people, in our area who may be, looking for some kind of group that they can join to support them. Like I said, some people in this community are just really scared of like even going out and, socializing with people. So how can they reach you or join your group if they're looking for somewhere they can join?
So we have social media, and we love to be out on social media. That's where we post all our events, updates, everything. So we do have a Facebook. We are the LGBTQ Democrats of Catawba County on Facebook. We also have an Instagram. We are the LGBTQ Dems underscore Catawba County. You can also email us at Catawba County LGBTQ Dems at gmail.com. And then if you are interested in attending our monthly meetings, we do meet on the first Thursday of every month at the Catawba County Democratic Party headquarters in Mountain View at 7 p.m. And we're open to LGBTQ plus folks as well as allies. You don't have to be part of the community to join and to be involved. So we welcome everyone. And you don't have to be a Democrat to come to our meetings. You do have to be a Democrat to register as a member.
Mhm.
But we have a lot of independents that will volunteer with us and donate to us and help us. They're just not official members, which means they can't vote on things. But
Yeah. And you're starting a couple of other Democratic groups getting, I think Lincoln and Iredell, you're helping them get started as well. Is that right?
yes, so Gaston, Lincoln, Caldwell, Iredell. Those are our focuses right now. I was in Gaston about a month ago to talk about getting a group started, and there is a little bit of interest out of there. So I'm going to circle back with them, try to get something in the works for Gaston County. Lincoln County, they've got an interest meeting coming up. I want to say it's July 17th. And I will be speaking at that to talk about how you get a group started. Caldwell County, they already have a group started. It's not official, but they do have a group of people interested, and they are trying to meet regularly. And then Iredell, I'll be in Iredell July 15th to talk about getting a group started because there's also some interest out of there.
All right, cool. Yeah, so
Mhm.
if you are in any of those areas, just know that there is a group there to support you that you can join. I know it's kind of difficult being in, the area that we're in. It can seem like you're alone, but you're not.
Yeah,
So definitely reach out to MacGregor or even me, and kind of get hooked in with one of these groups.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, thank you so much for coming on today. Do you have anything else that you'd want to tell everybody before we go?
Well, I just want to say, everybody please remember to support your LGBTQ plus business owners and support the businesses that support us, that are allies with us. Support our safe spaces, create safe spaces, and just be yourself. It's really, really, really important, especially, I know it's scary, but especially in a time when there's a lot of hate in this country and in this world, to be yourself and to be proud and be loud.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for coming on. And as always, if anybody has any questions, comments, or anything, you can reach me at the AB4, other side, ab4nc.com, and we will get back to you. So thanks.
Thank you.